All right, freelancers, if you're just getting started and you think that you need to do all of this fancy stuff, I am here to tell you that you absolutely do not. In the past few years, I've built my freelance business to multi-six figures with clients in the United States, Canada, and across Europe. And in this video, I want to share 5 unconventional tips for beginner freelancers so that you know what you have to focus on versus what you can ignore when you're growing your business. Each one of these tips is grounded in the simple fact that when you are starting any business, especially as an independent entrepreneur, as a freelancer, you can do 1,000,001 things. However, only a few things are going to get you money, credibility, and a network to continue getting more and more clients. Whether you use a marketplace to find clients like an Upwork or a niche marketplace, or you're planning to go it alone, these principles apply to you. The first one is that your website does not need to be pretty. You might have gotten a lot of advice that first impressions are really critical and you have to have a beautiful website and you need to use a certain web builder or build it on a certain platform, and that's not true. The reality is that your website only needs to accomplish 3 tasks, and being pretty is not necessarily one of them. The first is that it has to introduce you, so people know that they're on your website and they know who you are. The second is it has to explain what you do and who you help, the service you provide, and the types of people you provide that service to. And the third is it needs to provide a way to get in touch with you. That could be joining your newsletter, that could be an email, that could be a form, that could be social media. However you get in touch with clients, or maybe even your marketplace profile, but it just needs that. So once you have those 3 things, having some cute elements or a beautiful website is fine, but it does not have to be pretty. So if you're thinking, I'm not a designer, I don't know how to do this, oh God, don't worry about it. Clean, simple, and informative will trump beautiful but irrelevant every time. The second is a bit of a tough life lesson, but what you do actually doesn't matter that much. Instead, it's how what you do helps clients. So for example, if you're a writer, that's fantastic, and you are probably very good at your skill. But it's not simply being a writer that matters. It means that your client needs writing to accomplish a task, and that's the real value add in terms of making money. You have value as a human and with your skill, regardless of money. But in terms of building a business that makes money, your job is not to talk about what you do, it's to understand the context of what your client might need. The third one is that specificity, getting too specific on what you do, can actually harm your business. Instead, what you need is a focus, a core area, and a core type of person or type of business that you help, and then being as flexible as you can within that. So for example, if you are a writer and you write blog posts, that's great. But if you only say that you will only do a certain type of blog post at a certain word count for a very, very, very specific type of company, that can work if you're willing to work at it or if you already have that network. But if you're just starting out, you want to have your core focus, let's say blog writing, and your core type of client, let's say tech companies, but within that, be as flexible as possible. The next is that the best sales process is the laziest one you can possibly imagine. You want to templatize everything, create a process for everything, and take as much work off of your customer's plate as possible. You don't want them to have to think at all if you can avoid it. And that is because of a concept called cognitive load, which is a really fancy way of saying how much does someone have to think in order to do the action you want them to do. So for example, if you want someone to reach out to you, make it really easy by having it easily available on your website and your social media and in your newsletter. And that goes through the entire process. So when you're designing your sales process and even into your client kickoffs, think about easy and comfortable. What do you want that person to do? And then how can you make it super simple for them to just do it without thinking, or at least thinking as little as possible? And the final unconventional tip for beginner freelancers is that you should actually want to spend the least possible amount of time talking to your clients. A lot of new freelancers fall into the trap of wanting multiple meetings or multiple communications with the client before you can start work. And you do need a good kickoff. You need to understand what your project is all about. But after that, you don't want to talk to your client much for a couple of reasons. One is that can actually confuse the process because you're going to talk to them and they might have a random idea that's not actually relevant, but it can throw you off base, and you get so many inputs to your project that you get confused, you deliver the wrong project. Your job is to focus on the thing that is going to help your client achieve their goal, whatever their goal is, and hopefully you've talked about that in your sales process already, that lazy process you built from the tip before. But the second thing is that the real value you're offering as a freelancer is not just the quality of your work or even solving their problem. It's solving their problem without them having to think about it, because they are paying you to not have to think about this. When you optimize to spend the least possible amount of time talking to your client while still delivering a high quality result, that's when you can not only increase your own capacity, meaning you can take on more work, but you also start to deliver that intangible value that a lot of time clients don't actually know that they need until you show it to them, and then they go, oh my God, this is fantastic. You become entrenched with them, you can charge more money, and it leads to wonderful referral opportunities because your client is saying, you've got to work with this person, it's so efficient. So those are all the tips. If you like them, let me know, leave a comment, and if you have any questions about starting out your freelance business, leave a comment below, and I'll answer it either in the comments or in another video.